Welcome to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Rob.
Wake up your mind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast, 3GW. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. I'm your host, Mr. Eric, joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well today. Doing well. Busy day at work. Got some snow, and wish we were doing this podcast under better circumstances, but I think it's appropriate that we're doing it.
Yes, we'll get into all that in just a minute. We're, of course, joined by special guest MJ Book. How are you, sir?
Rob said it best, and I wish this was under better circumstances, but it's always good to be on 3GW.
Oh, yeah. And, well, I'm not going to delay anymore. Obviously, it's been a few days now, and the extremely shocking news that, just 2020 is not gone yet. We're still here, and we lost yet another person in the wrestling world. Very, very sudden, very, very shocking, very, very out of nowhere for the most part. Most of us know him as Luke Harper on the independent circuit, and in AEW he was known as Brodie Lee. But his biological name, the name he was known as his wife and his boys, was John Huber. So rest in peace to John. And our condolences extended to his family, the AEW family, and the wrestling community. It's such a big loss. And, this is where I get really frustrated with WWE specifically, when you have such a talent and you just bog them down for years and years and years, and then literally they go to another company for 6 months and they're convincingly in the main event, and they just show you a completely different side to their character, and you're like, what? Like, why wasn't he able to do this before? Oh, because of WWE machine. Now, that's me, the bitter fan. At the end of the day, I'm just glad he got the run he got to have with AEW, being in the main event, winning the TNT Championship, having those matches, and his final chapter wasn't written, being future endeavored like so many are. So I am glad he got to have that opportunity. For me, I knew something was wrong, because after the dog collar match, he was off TV for a significant amount of time, and it's wrestling, so we all kind of think, oh, it's part of storyline, they're gonna bring him back in a shocking fashion, at a pay-per-view or something like that. But that was not the case this time, and this was eerily similar to Chadwick Boseman, who passed away as well this year, where he just disappeared and nobody knew he was sick. And then suddenly now you realize he was really sick. So yeah, I found out, and I've had to, send out the message to the guys, and it was just I mean, enough is enough. I mean, Book, I just listened to your show today, the worst of 2020. I mean, I'm pretty sure you did that show thinking, well, that has to be it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, 2020 is like, oh no, I got more for you, and it's so sad. And enough of my rambling. Rob, just your thoughts and anything that you wanted to say.
Well, look, obviously very sad. Um, we've had other wrestling passings this year. Chad Gaspard, Rocky Johnson early in the year, Pat Patterson, just to name, sadly, just a few. I think for me, what is particularly shocking about this one is we're talking about a well-known wrestler, high-profile wrestler currently on a roster. All of the other people that I just mentioned weren't currently on the rosters or were legends who were, in the twilight of their careers or long. The wrestling business had been far behind them. But Brodie Lee, John Huber, he was big time right now. You could argue that even at 41 years old, he was at the peak of his career. You spoke about his run in WWE, and really outside of what they did with him in the Wyatt family, although I didn't mind the Bludgeon Brothers, and I know a lot of people didn't really care for them, and you could always tell he was talented, but it wasn't until he got to AEW that he was in high-profile matches on the main event, to me, like he always deserved to be. So for him to just pass suddenly like that, I mean, I can't express the shock. It's one of those things when you read the text, you almost wonder for an instant, is it a joke? Is it real? And unfortunately, it wasn't. And sadly, he's gone.
I mean, when you sent out that message, Eric, I looked at it, kind of glancing, and I was like, "What?" Because I just saw a picture of him, and at first I didn't look at it real close, but then I looked at it real close, and I saw what you had said. I'm like, pardon my French, I was like, bullshit. I mean, this is too sudden. This is just too sudden. And I had to go online and look at news, and I just typed in John, and boom, it was all over. And I'm like, oh my God, what is up with have you not taken enough pounds of flesh? Do you have to take some more? I mean, this has just been, I mean, come on, enough. We've had enough of 2020. I mean, just enough. And this was just, I mean, you can definitely say what you want to about WWE being squandered, but he was part of one of the best gimmicks that the WWE has had in decades with the Wyatt family. That was pure genius. Yes, led by Bray Wyatt, but it was not the Wyatt family without Eric and, of course, Luke Harper at the time. It was one of the most genius gimmicks of all time and led to many great matches with the other great group, the Shield. And when he went solo there, of course, there was just nothing there for him. And that, say what you want to about the tag when he was just teaming with Eric. But once he found his way to AEW, he was the perfect choice to lead the Dark Order. As much as I've given the Dark Order grief, that was the pure genius to put him there. And it gave him the opportunity to march forward. And obviously he would have become an AEW champion and he would have had a good run. But what we've come to learn is about the family man. I'd heard he was a decent dude, but over these past days, I've heard just how decent of a guy he really, really was. And, I mean, it's just a terrible thing. 2020, just be done with it, man. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I watched the BTE today, and I had no idea because I don't really watch Being the Elite. but oh my God, he is hilarious on that show. His timing, his comedic timing was perfect. He could keep a straight face. Like everybody else is laughing, and he's just in character the whole time. And I mean, and he's such a genius that they're shooting one of the skits, and John Silver's laughing because he just can't keep it in anymore. And instead of busting him out, he covers up the laughter by saying, "Are you crying? Are you crying?" And that allows John Silver to kind of get some chuckles, but act like he was crying. I mean, I thought that was just so genius and creative. And that just says, like, wow, like you're thinking so far beyond the box. And then Xavier Woods, who showed clips of, the times that he was on Up, Down, Down playing the video games, and like just seeing that other side of somebody, it just humanizes them. And then you see all the pictures and photos of his kids and his wife. I mean, first of all, and that's the first thing I want to say about the show tonight, is the way they opened. I figured this is how they would do it. All the wrestlers on the stage, 10-bell salute. You got to do that the right way. The fact that his wife and kids were out there, she's strong. That shows strength to be out there where he would work, and for his son, his oldest son, to be out there all night with the mask. I mean, what better way? And I just loved how everybody just interacted with him. And he even got a little involved in the action a little bit, which was kind of funny.
That was perfect.
Yeah. You could tell that's the son of a wrestler right there. But yeah, so let's get into the show. Obviously, this was a dedication show. We haven't had to have one of these in a very long time, so I am grateful for that. But these are never. They're interesting to watch, but it's hard when you have to. The show must go on, and we all know that when wrestlers pass on, it's what they would want, especially somebody like a Brodie. This is what he would want. He would want the show to go on, and knowing him, he's looking down and enjoying being put over like this. So let's see. So the show kicked off with the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. I thought this was a great match. For those listening that are 3GW heads, this is the one night where we're not grading. I don't think it'd be appropriate to grade matches on a tribute show. So there is no grades, just giving our thoughts on the match. I thought this was a great match. I thought it was touching. I thought I liked that Colt Cabana was going for the clothesline that Brodie used to do, but didn't quite connect with it. But and the raw emotion in his face when the match started, because I mean, him of all people, Brodie brought him in the Dark Order and was hand picking him. And I mean, wasn't the pay-per-view where he let Colt Cabana get the pin after he hit the discus clothesline? I mean, so yeah, I know that meant a lot to him, kind of revitalized Colt Cabana's career. And I know that this meant a lot to him, and I'm glad they picked up the win. Awesome match. I mean, that Private Party, I mean, they get better every time I see them. They hit that gin and juice, and then they hit the swanton, followed by with the backflip. I mean, everything. Matt Hardy. I mean, those three together, they just mesh so well. And I don't know if y'all noticed this though. Just a little thing. Didn't look like Matt Jackson was too involved in the match. I don't know if he's still nursing that knee and ankle or whatever injury he had. But
yeah, I noticed it.
But Nick, Jesus, Nick Jackson, I swear to you, between him and Ray Phoenix, I still maintain those two are the best in AEW in that ring, bar none. So I enjoyed the match. It was great. Rob, what'd you think?
Well, man, I felt the same. I'm a big SCU guy, and I mean, we know the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world right now. And I think you spoke on it. Colt Cabana, just you could see the emotion on his face when that match started. And I mean, man, it just got to you. So I'm already invested right away. But the action was there, just like you would expect with these competitors. The right team won. Just a good way to start a show. Good way to start a tribute to Brodie Lee in this way.
Colt Cabana, there was a couple of people during this thing that you could tell were just absolutely just a wreck. Colt was one of them. I mean, you could just see it instantly as soon as he was on the camera. He was just torn up. And honestly, Colt Cabana in AEW, I think this has been his best performance in AEW. He rocked it. He did a damn good job. I've given him a lot of grief, but he kicked some ass tonight. And I'm sure he wishes definitely that he could do something like this on not a night like this. But I'm sure he knows that, hey, I was representing my boy, and I hope I did him proud. And I'm pretty sure Brodie Lee is up there clapping and giving a claw. And this was definitely an entertaining match. The Young Bucks, of course, best tag team in the world, no doubt on that. Matt Hardy, I don't know if they're working a heel thing with him, but he was very heelish tonight. I think that'd be kind of interesting to see if they go that route. But very good match. Colt Cabana stole the show as he should. So that was good on him, and great way to start off the night.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact John Moxley did a video interview. They posted that, and the next one was the one that caught me by surprise. Darby Allin, his video tribute, no face paint, and he speaks very well. Yeah, I mean, not that I thought he was ignorant or anything like that, but when you hear somebody like that speak and speak so well and highly of Brodie, and it's sad that he said he always wanted to wrestle him, and it's like, damn, I'll never get that chance. But I think a lot of people are going to not only pay tribute tonight with their matches, but always know in their career, moving forward in their careers, tribute a lot of their success to Brodie Lee and the interactions that they've had. So next we had Lance Archer, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno versus Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and Blade. And I got nervous when Eddie got that mic. I was like, oh God, please don't say nothing stupid. But he was able to say something, I guess, nice, quote unquote, and stay in character at the same time. So I did appreciate that. I did and also appreciated Lance Archer wearing the Luke Harper outfit. Nice touch. I was kind of hoping he would do a little, one of these with the hands like Luke did, but
that'd be going too far.
But nobody could do it like Luke, man. I mean, that dude. I listened to Wrestling Inc. podcast. Shout out to them and Matt. Matt Morgan, former Impact and WWE wrestlers. He always used to say that Luke was very intelligent. He was, don't look at the gimmick, like that's not him at all. And lo and behold, he goes to AEW, and you're like, oh, damn, he was right. But this match was okay. Everybody knows Dark Order is going to be winning all these matches tonight. There's no way they're going to lose. This one, like I said, was just kind of okay. I appreciate, Butcher and Blade. I like them. Looks like Butcher's lost a little weight, like they mentioned. But, again, another tribute match. And, obviously, Evil Uno getting emotional at the end, as he should. like Book said, before Mr. Brodie Lee came along, Dark Order was a joke. He brought them up to not quite well. He was the main event star, but he brought them up to inner circle level once he joined. So, yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, average match. You know, we're not grading the matches. I'm not going to say anything negative here tonight, but the match was just average. But I'm okay with that. Tonight really wasn't about the matches, right? It's about Brodie Lee. It's about paying tribute. It's about making the show about him. But at the same time, like you said, and this is an adage in wrestling since wrestling began, the show must go on. And so that's what they did. It was interesting to see Jake Roberts get a little involved. He did one of his trademark moves from back in the day, his clothesline. Couldn't quite get it done like he used to, but he landed it. So, good for Jake.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was an okay match. Don't want to rip on it too much. All I'll say is it's Eddie Kingston's grandmother made a slightly better uniform for him in this match. But it was slightly, obviously it was Stu Grayson went over a little more than everybody. Lance Archer, though, continues to impress me in that match. He's just a superstar talent there, and can't wait to see what further they do with him. Jake with that short arm clothesline, yeah, he didn't hit it like he could, but he got close enough that it didn't look completely embarrassing. So that was okay. Not going to say any match was bad, but it was an okay match. Nothing to shit on or anything like that. Good tribute. Good to see that they played the proper respect. Love what Lance Archer was wearing. That was a great touch.
Yeah, it really was. Then we get Hangman Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus MJF, Santana, and Ortiz.
Fish floppers.
And if we were grading matches as far as like a match that stole the show for maybe the wrong reasons, like the first match, I think was the best match on the card, wrestling wise. But if you're talking character, this really caught my attention. MJF, my God.
He's a bastard.
He's such an asshole. And he's, you know what? I have to give him credit because he's able to do it in a way where it's not too much. Like when I say too much, I mean, it's not like, it doesn't look forced. You believe that he would do the shit that he's doing because that's who he is. And for him to even interact with -1, aka Brodie Jr., the way he did, ripping his mask off, giving him the finger, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? But I'm like, okay, well, they had to have planned all this, at least discussed it, because -1 did have a kendo stick, and he did give MJF a proper receipt. So there we go. Again, another emotional match. I like John Silver's outfit paying tribute to Brodie with his own little. I'm like, they had to have made one for him because there's no way a 6'7" guy's outfit is gonna fit on a 5'4" guy's outfit. So I liked all that. Again, MJF coming out with the headband and the Puerto Rican flag trunks. I mean, he's such an ass. But the true highlight of the match, when Wardlow gets involved and we see Eric Rowan come out and make the save, man, that almost got me. Because even though they were together with Bray and Braun and they were the whole Wyatt family, those two, they were synonymous with each other. So to see, and I was wondering if they were going to get him. And the fact that he was on this show I mean, that just hit home. It's just like, oh my God, this is rough. This is like everything else was just beautiful and everything in the presentation, but to see his actual partner come on the show, and you know how I mean, I don't even want to imagine how many times they've gone up and down the road and had restaurant ate together, slept in the same hotel, worked out together. You know, it became real once that happened. But I appreciate this match, and I appreciate seeing that they got Eric Rowan out there. You know, like I said, Dark Order wasn't losing any matches tonight. So, look, what'd you think?
Man, MJF, man. MJF he is such a rare talent when it comes to being a heel. Most heels are afraid to go to these levels, to be this disgusting. He has absolutely no fear to be an asshole. And you gotta respect that. Obviously, he still needs to work on the wrestling end of it, but he is so damn good at being a prick. Yelling at the kid, ripping his mask off, flipping him off. I mean, I could get everything else, but when he flipped him off, I'm like, oh, this kid's got to get a receipt. There is no way you're going to let this go on without this kid getting a receipt. And clearly they had this planned. Clearly backstage, MJF had to tell this kid, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You get to do this. And he actually hit him pretty damn good with that kendo stick. So he's definitely
hit him flush.
He's a wrestler. I mean, most people, when they try to do that, you might hit the shoulder or something, or slide the side of. He nailed it perfect right on the head. So Brodie must have taught him a few things. But that was just great. That's just a great way for MJF to keep being a heel and still show his proper respect. Those damn fish floppers. At least they weren't flopping around, thank goodness.
Well, at least they got the pinfall. At least they lost.
I'm just glad there wasn't no flopping. That's all. They're just Adam Page, just one of the superstar talent. Every time I see that guy, he's just an amazing superstar talent. How WWE didn't even look at that guy is amazing. But entertaining match, great tribute. And Eric Rowan, I jumped out of my chair. As soon as he showed up, I just jumped out of my chair. And that sign he was holding, you looked at the emotion in his face. Wrestling, it's rare that they can get that emotion out of you. AEW did it with both the Rhodes brothers in there. I remember the Owen Hart night and the Eddie Guerrero nights. It's rare, but this was one of those nights where they really got that emotion.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. This was my favorite match of the night. Everything about it was just done so well. And I've been critical of MJF as far as his in-ring talent, but his character, his heel character, I mean, the best in the business. And what he did tonight, interacting with Brodie Lee's son, MJF is so convincing that at first I was wondering, oh man, okay, was he supposed to do that? Did he let the kid know he was going to? He had me for a minute, but then I'm thinking there's no way on a night like this they would do it unplanned. But he's such a prick, you wouldn't put it past him. He's so convincing as that character. But then when Brodie's son hit him with the kendo stick, I just thought that was perfect. And then you both have already spoke about Eric Rowan coming out. And one thing that gets me, being a wrestling fan, is, we see these huge guys and a lot of them play these tough guys, heels, but then to see them in a real moment of real emotion. He's holding up that sign, pointing up to the sky. And I mean, man, it just really gets to you. It just really gets to you when you see, that real emotion. And I think for me, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but one thing, it's just hearing people talk about Brodie, things I didn't know about him before, like how funny of a guy he was. how great of a father he was. And in the wrestling business, that is such a tough thing because you're on the road all the time. You're hardly ever home. You're missing birthdays and recitals and things like that. But the one true constant in this was what a great father he was. And so to give his son that moment with MJF, man, just so appropriate.
Yep. And I think Chris Jericho was next. He gave a pretty
It
well
was
spoken
Eddie
tribute.
Kingston.
Oh, Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston spoke well about him too, and he did it in a way that was his own, and you could tell it was real. And that's the thing with these tributes versus, others. I've seen page-long tributes from people. And it's one thing, you post on social media, you say rest in peace with a broken heart or a crying emoji, and say like a couple words. Most of the people in the wrestling community and the people that knew him that I've seen, I mean, the posts are like I said, pages long.
Bray Wyatt. Yeah.
And then Bray Wyatt wrote pretty much a whole letter. And I mean, that speaks volumes. So, I mean,
Even Randy Orton.
when I see stuff like that, it for me as the dad makes me sit back and go, damn, what the hell would my kids say about me if something happened to me? And that's why, not to make this about me, but people always ask me about certain decisions I make, mainly being military. And for the listeners that don't know, I am back in the military, and people ask, well, why would you go back? And my whole thing is, I've always been a person that practice what they preach. And I want to preach to my kids that you have got to find something. It's okay to chase your dreams, but you have to have something to fall back on at all times. And at the end of the day, that's my plan B. It is the military. Always have a plan B. And someday down the line, there's going to be, hopefully once COVID goes away and all that stuff, there's going to be a career day. Do I want to show up as somebody that, not to put down the job. I mean, I do have a job, but it's not something I want to show up at career day doing versus I'm part of the United States military. I'm in the Navy. That's so much better. If my kids can say, oh, my dad's in the military, my dad's in the Navy. He was in the Army. Versus just he has a regular, 9 to 5. But that's just me. That's how I put myself at that high standard so that my kids can, look at me that way. But the fact that, he was so influential, and like you said, Rob, I mean, y'all have got to watch that BTE from this week, and they show all his clips and the outtakes. Hilarious. So, gotta check that out. Then we had Anna Jay and Ty Conti versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. Anna 99 J. This was actually pretty decent for AEW women's match. I think they put all their best women outside of Hikaru Shida in this match, and I guess without giving away the ending, they must have signed Thunder Rosa, or she must be on some type of deal with NWA and AEW where she can do both. Kind of like Kenny Omega's in Impact right now. Or he already did that show, I think. I don't know. I don't keep up with Kenny. Anyway, this match was pretty decent, actually. I thought, Ty Conti, she impressed me in this match the most. Obviously, Britt Baker's gonna do what Britt Baker does. She's up there with AEW women, and even though Penelope Ford, I felt like is getting better in the ring, I just wasn't too impressed by her. But I thought Ty Conti looked great. And yeah, I enjoyed the match. They got the win. Her and Anna got the win. Because like I said, Dark is not losing any matches tonight. And I love Brodie. And post match, like I said, Thunder Rosa came out and attacked Britt Baker. I liked her little promo with Tony, calling everything is this is fixed. The fix is in. But she did a little wink. I thought that was just a nice little touch. So, Rob, what'd you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. We've been critical of the women in AEW and the quality of the competitors there, justifiably so, I think. But tonight was a good night. I was a fan of Taya Conti when she was in NXT. I kind of was surprised they let her go, but they've got so much talent there. Probably not missing her. And I'm glad she found her way to AEW, where I think she's doing pretty well for herself. Once again, we saw the emotion with Anna Jay at the during the match and at the end of the match, during the claw, eyes welling up. Just another bittersweet moment in a night full of them.
Yeah, Anna Jay definitely brought that emotion. You could see she was really busted up. Britt Baker was Britt Baker, as she always is. Penelope Ford, she looked like she took it down a little bit. Definitely seen her do better. The previous match got the most emotion. Like you said, Mr. Eric, the first match was, if you looked at just wrestling, that was definitely the best match. If you had to look at one match that was probably the worst, unfortunately, it might have been this one. But Anna definitely just that's the image that sticks to me, is her standing there doing that claw and just seeing the emotion just pouring out of her. She had completely, everybody's trying to stay in character and you maybe break a little bit. You could see for her, it was just a real struggle trying to stay in character. Chianti, she was damn impressive. It was interesting at the end. It was a nice tribute match again. You knew the Dark Order wasn't going to win, but that's all I got. I mean, it was kind of below, but I've seen worse.
And like I said, we get the Chris Jericho tribute. He spoke very highly of, Brodie Lee, like everybody else did. And then we get the main event: Team Taz versus 10, Cody Rhodes and Orange Cassidy. 10 wearing the robe that Brodie would notoriously wear. And, a lot of these matches tonight, it was kind of hard to focus on the match. And that's one more reason why I didn't bother with grades. To me, this was just more about watching, so we had something more to talk about and just paying tribute to the man that was. Still a good match though. Ricky Starks. I know they're making these Rock comparisons. I don't know about all that.
I think it's just the way he looks.
The way he looks, yeah. The way he dresses, yeah. I get it. But he got a long way to go.
Definitely.
But and then we get, of course, Sting and Darby Allin come out. Can't not talk about that. I didn't think Sting was gonna be on the show, but it was nice that he was. Like I said, I wasn't really too focused on the match. I just wanted to, watch it, and it just made more sense to review and talk about the whole situation after the show. So, yep. Rob?
Yeah. By the time we got to the end of the show, I watched it, but like you, at this point, I'm just thinking about the whole reason that we're here and that we're watching it. Just still really absorbing the shock of it all. I mean, it's still just hard to believe Even after seeing the show, all of the tributes, it's just still stunning to me that we've lost a wrestler in his prime. Like I said, one that's currently on the roster. I can't remember the last time we've lost a wrestler who is currently on the roster. You know, I go back to thinking Eddie. You know, when we lost a wrestler who was at a high point in his career and currently on the roster. Just still very shocking. And I want to say one thing. We kind of alluded to it earlier, but the Bray Wyatt post is a must read. If you haven't read it, it is a long post, but it's worth your time. Very heartfelt, very emotional. I can't suggest enough that anyone who is a wrestling fan read that.
Yeah, by the time you get to this match, it's hard to focus on anything else. Plus, they said this was a match that -1 had picked everybody that he wanted in this match. I mean, he loves Cody, he loves Orange Cassidy. He was wearing the mask, so this was a different kind of a tear jerker. I'm trying not to rip on Powerhouse Hobbs because I hate that damn name, but
Well, kudos to Jericho because he tried to push Will Hobbs, but JR just kept saying Powerhouse. I'm like,
Powerhouse is, oh man, I another show. But I said there was a few people really saw the emotion coming out of them. Dark Order number 10, that was one of those guys. You even with the mask on, you could just feel the emotion just pouring out of him in this match. At least I did. It was definitely a touching match. And of course, seeing his kid wearing that mask, it was just a real tearjerker. Seeing Orange Cassidy come over there and give his little backhanded kind of little 5 to him, that was cool.
Yeah, fist bump.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool. And just gonna mention real quick that you mentioned it a little bit. Chris Jericho, right before this match, when he was talking, of all the people who talked, his stuck to me the most. Is it what Jericho was saying? Because I believe him when he says, Brodie, don't worry, we're gonna take care of your family. We're gonna take care of your family, and that's something. Chris Jericho saying that, yeah, believe it. Chris is totally means that. He's not gonna bullshit about something like that. So
not at all.
Emotional.
We've seen what he's done for Chris Benoit's son.
Yes. Chris is no joke when he says stuff like that. He is going to take care of that kid until he is no longer around, and even then, he's going to make arrangements that he will still be taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, we rip on Jericho a lot, but at the end of the day, he does so much outside of the ring that there's nothing but respect for Chris Jericho because he's helped so many people elevate and continue careers and extend careers.
He doesn't care about his career. He cares about the business.
He doesn't. And I mean, at the end of the day, he is akin to Triple H, where their mindset is, I've already done what I can do in that ring. That's done. In order for this to continue, I have to focus on the stars of today, these young guys, so that this keeps going.
The old school mentality, leave it better than when you got into it.
Exactly. And it'd just be so nice if somebody could just get to that old man over there and get inside that head, but I guess that's just impossible. But shout out to AEW.
That's a good segment because...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just quickly, I don't know if anyone saw Raw, but did you feel like Raw did enough? Was it appropriate what they did, or do you think they could have done more?
They could have done more. Because it was less than a year ago he was with WWE. I mean, just last year, it was Eric Rowan versus Roman Reigns, and Luke Harper showed up. They were the Bludgeon Brothers. They won the championships at WrestleMania. I mean, maybe you don't do like you did Pat Patterson and Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes, where you have, 5-6 video packages, but you could have, at the very least, a 10 bell salute would have been, do the picture on Titantron and do the 10 bell salute. I think that would have been sufficient. But they didn't even do. I mean, they did acknowledge it. If they didn't acknowledge it at all, I mean, I think they knew better than that, obviously. But they should have done more because you have to think about your talent. They just worked with this man last year, like I said. So you got to think about those people and how it's affecting them emotionally.
Their superstars did it better on their own than WWE did.
Yeah, to me, the 10 bell salute is a must. That's just the minimum that you should do to me.
Out of respect, man. Out of respect.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, see, I don't like the idea of you have to be in the clique or under Vince's good graces. It's just like, it should be like it is in the military. It doesn't matter what you're Army, Navy, Marines, what rank you are from E1 to a general. If you get killed in battle and you're one of us, or even after you're done, you still get the same treatment. You get the flag, you get the rifles, you get the song. They treat everybody the same. And they just don't do that in WWE. And it's a shame. Because it's not like he was a bad apple, or when he left WWE, he didn't badmouth. I mean, he did skits, like, all that stuff. But he didn't go on podcasts and stuff and bash Vince and Triple H or anything like that. So,
Vince probably laughed at those skits. Vince probably thought they were funny.
But yeah, to the point, they should have done a little more, if for nothing else, to show their current roster that knew this guy the respect. So I do like that they at least let people wear armbands. They let Drew pay his tribute verbally, and I think AJ did something too. So it wasn't like they did nothing, but like you said, but it was the wrestlers doing it. It wasn't the company. So, well, that's about gonna do it.
Oh, what about how the show ended?
Oh, well, yeah, they did the video package at the end of the show. I did miss some of it because I'm always running around with kids.
Oh,
so
man. So you didn't see -1 come out?
No. So go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and
Cody was in the ring and he was talking, and -1 came out with his his family came out, and Tony Khan was there, and Tony Khan presented him the TNT belt. He said, "You're champion for life." That was cool. -1 was holding Brodie Lee's boots, and they left it in the center of the ring. And
wow.
Cody had a hanky, the dude rag kind of thing that he always had. Put that over the boots. They left that right there, center of the ring. AEW did this so well. They did this the way WWE used to do this. They used to be so respectful when people passed away, and they don't do it anymore. AEW did what is an uncomfortable situation in a brand new promotion. They handled this so damn perfectly. So perfect. It was a rough one.
Well, that's great. That's just so great to hear. Don't want to turn this into a bashing of WWE. But I'm just glad AEW did the right thing. And again, his family is so strong to be coming on national TV after such tragedy and right after Christmas. So, yeah, we're going to have to wrap this thing up. And, y'all know where to find us. Twitter, Instagram, email us. If you don't know, listen to another show. This isn't about us right now. It's about John Huber, a.k.a. Brodie Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper, and toast to the man, one time. Rest in peace, big guy. And moving forward, we will always keep Brodie Lee in our hearts and minds. And again, and toast to his wife and his 2 boys. Mr. Rob?
Well, I want to say one thing is that on the show, AEW, they mentioned that they are selling Brodie Lee shirts, tribute shirts, and that all of the proceeds will go to his family. I'm going to get one, and I just suggest anyone else listening to do the same. And I always like to thank our listeners. We appreciate y'all. Let's hear from you.
Yes, I will probably be copping that shirt too. Not only because it's going, proceeds go to his family, it's a good looking shirt. So
Great.
definitely we'll grab that. With that in mind, like Rob said, thank you all for listening. Thanks for coming on, Book. And we will speak to you all again in a few days. Take care.